All right, folks, peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, how one Florida school has issued permission slips for students to see a Black book author. We'll talk a little bit about this. Also, a Black DEI officer at Harvard now is facing the charge of plagiarism. What is going on? We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, to get your reactions to day one of the hearing of the Georgia DA, Fani Willis. We'll have that conversation. And later on, we're talking about teaching children about social justice. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. And happy Friday, folks. We are officially at the end of the week. Man, oh, man. And it's halfway through the month already, through the great month of Black History Month. So happy Friday, folks. We are streaming on our website right now at blackstarnetwork.com. Just download the app, follow us on social media, and put something in the bucket for us as we do our work to create new content, to have those conversations about what's going on in Black America. And we want you to be an investor in this whole process. So go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com and follow us. And we look forward and thank you for your support. We're also streaming live on Amazon News on your Fire TV. You can also find us on Prime Video on Amazon Prime. Just find us on the Prime Video app under Live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Videos and Live TV, the news. And we're also streaming on Freevee on now under News for Black Star Network, as well as Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or find us under Live TV, the news and opinion. We're also streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin's social media page, so you can check us out on his Facebook page. A big shout out to the Culture Crew on the Facebook page. We're also streaming on his YouTube channel, so big shout out to the YouTube Culture Crew. Man, oh man. And to the crew that's a part of the X platform. So big shout out to all of those folks. There we go. And, I want to hear what y'all got to say because we got some great conversations. And I'm going to be bringing my sister, Kimberly Morrow, who is a principal and she's an educator. She's a speaker to talk to us about all of these discussions. But let me see who's in the chat right now. A lot of people are just showing up right now. In the chat. And just to let you know, we are actually streaming day 2 of the Fani Willis hearing that's happening in Georgia at this point. So make sure y'all do your due diligence. Check us out there. Y'all can watch that. Y'all can watch this and kind of go back and forth. But big shout out to the Online Culture Crew, Pastor Damon Blissett. I see you, the ABX girl. I see you, Cindy D. Big brother Willie Frazier is in the chat. Good connecting with you, big brother. What a month it has been, brother Willie. It has been a major, crazy month. My sister Suzette Speaks is in the chat as well. Suzette Speaks. Make sure y'all check her out on her show, on the Suzette Speaks show on YouTube. Let me see. Sokas Adventures, I see you. Thank you for checking in. Tiz, LA's in the house. Tiz, I hear that. That's right. LA is in the house. As Anastasia Patton, thank you for checking. Antonio Hurd, I hear you. I see you. Thank you. Deidre Hall, I see you. Thank y'all so much. Who else? Oh, we got Lydia Brown. Lydia, thank you for joining us. And Vera Kufor Manu. Thank you so much, Vera, for checking in. Let me bring in my great contributor, my sister. She's doing some fantastic work empowering and educating our children online. And she's also doing some work and, of course, providing some insight here on the culture. You see her every Friday now. She's joining us on Fridays now. My sister, Kimberly Morrow. Kimberly, thank you so much for checking in. Representing, as always, your shirts. That's what I look forward to on Fridays. Some shirts. You always got a message that's Always got a message. Big shout out to the great HBCU of Howard University. There you go.
Yes,
There you go.
I'm standing with Fani Willis today.
You
I'm
standing with,
representing.
you
Hey,
standing on business.
yes.
I'm excited to
We'll
have.
get to
No,
that
no.
later, right?
Let me just let you know. Let me just let you know. I'm excited to have the conversation. I know we got our firebrand sister, Corinna Denise, is going to be joining us. We're going to have that conversation. But Lord Jesus,
I was
y'all
gonna
help
wear
me.
my Morris Brown shirt.
My hazmat suit is right here. Okay.
I was gonna wear my Morris Brown college T-shirt, but after I seen the hearings yesterday, I said I gotta represent. I gotta stand with my girl Fani Willis.
All right. All right. Well, you go wait till you hear what I got to say about the whole situation. All right. Let's before we get to Georgia, let's start off in Florida, where Florida school district is under some fire because they have this crazy rule now about teaching young people, teaching their students about Black culture, which we all have been discussing. But even more so than that, they have issued permission slips for students to do a read along with a Black book author. Let me give you let me just break this thing down for you. Take a look. This is from NBC News, where this Florida school district is asking parents to consent to having their children participate in the reading of an African American author's book to comply with state law. Now, the requirement was implemented to comply with the Parental Rights in Education law, which was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis in 2022. Supporters say it gives parents greater control over their children's education, while critics call it the Don't Say Gay law. The law was expanded to prevent classroom discussions about sexual orientation or gender identity in all grades. Here's the thing, and I want to go back to you on this, Kim, because this situation really came up because there was a parent, a brother by the name of Charles Walter, who had posted a photo. He had this, of course, he went to social media because he wanted to share his grievance, where he had to sign a permission slip for his daughter to be a part of this read along. And as based upon what the form says, it says a read along is scheduled for Tuesday at 1 to 1:30. And it says next to type of guest that may attend the event, it says fireman, doctor, artist, right? So they got all of these details. The problem is he doesn't think that he would even have to get into this place in his child's first grade class when he has to sign a permission slip to allow them to even hear from a Black author. And the other part of it is he said that he gave the teacher verbal consent for his daughter to take part, but was told that if his daughter didn't return a signed form, she could not participate. What is going on with this whole situation, Kim?
What really? What is going on? And does that mean that white parents can say, "I don't want my child to listen to a Black author. I'm not signing
Technically,
a slip"? You see, and this is why children they're being taught these things at home, but at least they were able to go to school and they were able to learn about other cultures when it was permissible. Now they can't even do that at school. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I'm so glad that that father stepped up and posted it. And I've done a little research on this too, and I know the school is trying to put it on the governor. Well, it's because the governor created this law. It's just ridiculous right now for a first grader to have permission to listen to a Black author read a book. I don't know what world we're living in right now.
oh, I know which world we live. We're living in America in 2024. That's the world we're living in, right? This is no alternate reality. This is actually happening. Look, I got to take a quick pause. Kim, I want to get more of your take on this as we share more details about this. Crew, I want to get your take on this as well. Post your comments in the chat as we're streaming live on Roland Martin's Facebook page and Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And let me know your thoughts about the idea that your child may have to come home, especially in the state of Florida, if you're in the state of Florida, how do you feel about this? That now you have to get permission to just hear Black people speak. What? It's 2024? Folks, this is what it is right now. Stay with us. We're going to return to the conversation in a few moments right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues.
Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere.
It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation as we're discussing what's going on in one Florida school where they've asked parents for permission to have a book read by a Black author. Students were given, this is what school? Let me pull up the school because this is crazy. This is crazy. This is in a school in Miami, and it really didn't get any type of attention until a father by the name of Charles Walter went to social media, and then it created a firestorm down in Dade County, where students are required by law to get to have those type of activities happening in their schools. And I'm wondering, Kimberly, looking at a situation like this, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, because this governor, and of course in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, he made this into law. I don't know what the alternative is, like how Black folks in Florida can fight back against this. And more importantly, how can education not be compromised, not just for Black students, but for all students? Because of course, all students can learn something from Black authors. What's your take on that?
Exactly. I really like to see more of the community, more Black parents, more Black families, just more Black folks that live in that county pushing back on it. And I want to echo my sister Corinna. She has said this on here before, attending these board meetings. Unfortunately, what's happening is the parents on the right are attending and taking over at these board meetings. And maybe a few of the parents show up when something like this occurs, but we need to be showing up to these board meetings all the time. We need to be there in full force. That's how you push back on this. There is absolutely something can be done. But right now, my principal used to always say, the squeakiest wheel gets the most grease. Right now, the squeaky wheels are the people on the right who are taking everything out of the schools. Well, we need to become squeaky wheels as well. We need to be in those board meetings. We need to be showing up to those schools. We need to be letting the principals know that this is unacceptable. Similar to what he did, he put it out on social media. We need to see that happening more often, because this thing will not stop until we stop it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go to the crew and hear what folks got to say. Cindy D, check it in. You say, Cindy, what's next? Will children need permission to have a Black teacher or paraprofessional need a book in the classroom? Do you think it's going to get that far, Kimberly?
I really hope not. But the way they're targeting, you see, I said I hope not. But the way they are targeting Black administrators and Black teachers, I can't say that it won't get that far in certain states. It would not surprise me if they didn't send home a letter saying, would it be okay if your child had a Black teacher? Nothing is surprising me what is happening in this country right now. I am appalled by it, but for some reason, the way things took shape after 2016 election, none of it is surprising. It's appalling, but it's just not surprising.
Absolutely. Lydia Brown, you say now we have to have permission to read a book, CRT at its worst. As she's talking about critical race theory, that philosophy. In situations like this, right? And I'm glad that Lydia brought this up. When we talk about critical race theory, first and foremost, for those who may not be too familiar with this style of curriculum, please explain what is meant by critical race theory, Kimberly.
Well, first of all, it's not taught in K through 12. It's taught on college campuses and really in law schools. And it is a form of teaching. Don't get me to making up stuff, but from my understanding about it, because I'm not well versed in it either, but it is a form where you look at the systems, the structure, so we understand that the racism in this country is systemic. But that is something that is not taught K through 12. That's the buzzword right now. So the buzzword in these divisive partisan politics is CRT, critical race theory, it's DEI. Those are the big buzzwords right now. And then of course, Ron DeSantis, where woke comes to die, he's attacked wokeness as well. But none of those things are bad in a sense. I mean, we need to understand that in this country, racism is systemic. This is a structural issue. We do need to understand that. Do our kindergartners need to be taught that? I would say no.
Well, it's interesting because I was coming across a couple of articles, maybe like a week and a half ago or so, and I saw that there were a lot of teachers, who were challenged, especially during this time of year of Black History Month, of teaching about the history without connecting it to the largest system of racism, the largest system of white supremacy, the largest system of sexism and classism. So they're like teaching isolated events. And I remember reading this op-ed, and we had a segment just a few days ago about this, Kimberly. Are we teaching Black history correctly when we're talking about we've been always taught isolated dates and people, but not connecting the dots that, outside of the civil rights movement, we don't connect the dots between the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement, for example, right? And it creates this type of disjointed view of history, because our children are saying, Dr. Martin Luther King, not understanding that even though there was a Dr. Martin Luther King, or there was a Malcolm X, or there was a Huey Newton, right, that they also kind of worked in the same time frame. So a lot of things were happening. So all I have to say is that teaching our children dates and names of people is not enough. I mean, it's good, but it's not enough in terms of understanding the systemic impact of racism and sexism and white supremacy. What's your take on that?
No, you're absolutely correct. And the civil rights movement didn't start in the 50s and 60s. You have to take it all the way back to after Reconstruction ended. There were other movements that were taking place. They have to understand the court case Plessy versus Ferguson that instituted Jim Crow after the Civil War ended, after Reconstruction ended. So you are absolutely correct. These things need to be tied to the larger picture. You can't teach the civil rights movement in an isolated incident where you're only talking about Martin Luther King, or even, I'll say, even the Black Power movement. You've got to go back to the 1900s where you had Ida B. Wells. Lord, and I love her. Like, I almost slept.
Right. No, but you're absolutely right.
Movement, right? We can't forget those other movements that led to the civil rights movement. So you're absolutely correct. We can't keep teaching Black history as though these few people were involved in it. We have to teach the entire picture.
Absolutely. We got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, I want us to kind of continue to keep this conversation in mind. But then there's another discussion that's happening right back at Harvard, folks. There we go. Kim, we right back there talking about the situation facing a Black DEI officer, a Black woman by the name of Sherry Charleston, how she's now facing plagiarism charges. These are the same charges that took down the Harvard president, former Harvard president, Claudine Gay. What is going on, folks? I'm going to share with you the details of that story as well. So stay with us. You're tuned into The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Friday. Checking in with my sister, Kimberly Morrow. Man, oh man, my sister, she is a principal. She's an educator. She's a speaker. And she's here to give us her view of what's going on in the world of education. I'm always bringing educational stories to Kimberly because I appreciate what she brings to the conversation, for one. But these things aren't talked about enough, Kimberly. And that's the big thing for me, that, you know, you got these incidents like the situation down in Florida with this first grader and her father having, you know, to kind of take a situation and bring some light to it, to just look at the insanity of the moment. And then that's happening on a first grade level. Then we shift gears and we look at, as you mentioned, talking about CRT, how that is often taught in the university and college level. And now we're looking at ongoing race issues there. And it's just, it just feels like, and I want to get your take on this before we jump into the details of this next story, but it feels like we're kind of like bookended in a situation from elementary all the way up to college. We got to deal with race issues. That education just can't be a simple journey for us.
Right.
What's your
right.
take?
And you know, you're right. And what is so sad is, but this is what they do when they want to come for us. They want to discredit us. And I'll tell you, back in the day, they pulled the same stuff with Martin Luther King Jr. They accused him of plagiarism. So anytime you have people that are speaking out, speaking up, trying to make life better for us, they go on the attack. And with educators or with people in academia, that's where they try to hit you. They try to accuse you of plagiarism. I read that article, and basically the things that they pointed out were things that what we consider common information. The persons, where they were born, you know, information that can easily be picked up. You don't typically cite where you got that from, not common knowledge information. So they are nitpicking this person because they're trying to discredit her, because they're attacking DEI. Why? Because they don't want things to be inclusive, which is so interesting to me that it's happening at Harvard, because Harvard has been like that. It's like the I would say the epitome of liberalness. When I went there, I actually realized I'm not as liberal as I thought I was. I'm a little more conservative when I, like, seriously, I had just come from a historical Black college that was founded by the AME Church. And so when I got there, I was like, oh, whoa, I'm not as liberal as I thought I was. But so it's interesting that it's happening now in 2024, when in 1996, the exact same, the same type of policies were happening there, but they weren't being attacked the way they're being attacked right now. That's
big. That's major. That is major. When you think you're liberal, then you go into a space and you're like, damn, I'm kind of conservative compared to like, damn, I'm conservative. I mean, I thought I had a view of the world. These folks are way out there. That is interesting. That is very interesting. Well, look, here's the details of this story. The Washington Free Beacon, which is a conservative news website, they have reported and published a complaint filed by an unnamed source accusing Sherry Charleston of 40 instances of plagiarism in her 2009 PhD dissertation and in a 2014 peer-reviewed study published in the Journal of Negro Education. Much of the scrutinized language in this 343-page dissertation appears to be background information, basic facts, names, dates, numbers, as you mentioned, Kimberly, and in descriptions, including historical events. Now, they're saying that Ms. Charleston failed to give, quote unquote, proper attribution to several articles, and they allege that Charleston took credit for her husband's work in the 2014 study. Let me just stop y'all right here. This is coming from NBC. What? I need a drink on this. Hold on. You mean to tell me that you going to charge me with plagiarism for taking the words of my spouse. What? That's you going to charge
Exactly.
you charge me for plagiarism for taking the words of my spouse, the person I lay next to every night.
It's utterly ridiculous, Farajii. But you hear what they said. She's been accused, so you get to throw out these baseless, factless accusations. Just throw something to the wall to see if it sticks. There's no proof of any of this, but you get to say these things, and then people print it about you. So of course now they're going to be looking at this person sideways, like, and because she's Black, what is the thing? See, they're really not as smart as they say they are. This is a systematic strategy to discredit Black people. And you heard the guy talk about the Black pilot. So they are coming for Black people who are in professional positions, no matter where it's academia, it's the pilots. They're coming for us, and they're trying to make it seem like we're really not that smart. We have to cheat. We have to plagiarize. It's ridiculous. They did the same thing. Remember, if you recall, they did the same thing to the Tuskegee Airmen. If you recall that, they said that they weren't smart enough to fly planes. This is it's coming from an old playbook. This is not new. They're just recycling from an old playbook.
Hey, look, and look, this is how old and this is how recycled the situation is. The Washington Free Beacon was the main website leading the charge for the ouster of Claudine Gay, our sister, who serves as president of Harvard for 6 months before she was ousted, right? So this same website, conservative website, now is taking aim at another Black woman, Sherry Charleston, and with the same charge of plagiarism. But this is supposed to, and look, and this crazy part about it though, Kimberly, is that if Harvard continues to acquiesce to the pressure of any of these folks, right, on the conservative side, even on the so-called moderate Democratic side, right, then that speaks volumes about this institution that has an endowment well over $50 billion. That just goes to show you that. And for all of us, as much as we put Harvard and Yale and Stanford and these schools at the top, they can break and bend under pressure, just like so many other institutions have done, right? Because they don't want to upset their donors. I was reading, and I'll have to try to pull up the name, but there was another gentleman who said he's going to stop. He went to Harvard as a white philanthropist. He said he went to Harvard. He said he's going to close up his checkbook. And I got to get the name of this guy. He's going to close up his checkbook because he don't like how things are being handled at Harvard, right? But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We have the same type of power, too. The difference is we just don't invest money. We don't put money on the table. And we're not taught to put money on the table when it comes to dictating the agenda. We're not taught to put money on the table politically. We're not taught to put money on the table socially. And we're not taught to put money on the table educationally. But that's how these things are happening, because they're not just talking about, I'm going to just vote this person out. They put money on the table. They bring a lobbyist. They use a website. They get they get somebody from their camp, and they say, you go down to Harvard, put the money on the table, and tell them never to talk about this again.
That's true.
We're not taught that. We're not taught that level of that strategy. We're not taught that, because we always taught just vote, wait till that time, or when it comes to institutional stuff, take it to the higher ups, hope for the best. No, these people are paying for an education that's affecting thousands of students. They're paying for it the way they want to see, the way they want to have an education to see fit for them. And that's problematic. Kimberly, I want to get your take on the other side. We got to take another pause. And crew, share with me your thoughts. Am I crazy on thinking this? Am I crazy? Folks are putting money on the table to make sure that we're written out of history, money on the table to make sure that we're not at the table. What's your take on that, especially as we're talking about within the educational setting? Stay with me. The conversation continues on the other side here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking in with my sister, Kimberly Morrow, principal and educator, as we talk about the latest situation coming out of Harvard, how a conservative website is trying to do their work of ousting another Black woman on the same weak charge of plagiarism from the rolls of Harvard. This time, they're not going after the president as they did before, because she's gone. But this time, they're going after the Black Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, Sherry Charleston, who has been with Harvard for years. And now, after years of service, they're finally pulling it up, saying, now that the country is talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, she needs to go. And let's just come up with some reason. Oh, plagiarism. It worked for the last Black woman. It should work for this one. But what's your take on this as we're seeing this type of pressure coming on to schools and how some of these schools and institutions, they're just bowing down to the pressure, Kimberly?
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes you have to take a stand. I would love to see Harvard take a stand and say, you know what? We'll find our money from somewhere else. We're not going to upend our culture the way we've done education for the many years that they've done it to satisfy your agenda. I would love to see them do that. I honestly would. I don't know that they will, because those are large donors, but I would love to see them take a stand and say, I'm sorry, we're going to figure out another way.
Right.
And then I would love to see other alumni, whether they group together as a consortium. You know, it doesn't have to be an individual thing. A group of alumni could actually pull their resources and become donors to the school. So I would love to see that happen.
Absolutely.
I hope it does happen. I hope it does.
I would love to see that happen as well. And I think that it's time for us to happen. But I do believe that we in 2024, this is the most perfect, I know it's probably grammatically incorrect to say that, but I'm going to just say the most perfect time for us to revisit the strategy on how we make these institutions, how we get them to be on our agenda, right? And I'm convinced at this point, it's about the money. It's about the money. Yes, we know how to vote. We know how to raise our voices. We know how to protest. But in modern day America, that's not enough in some cases, right?
I'll tell you, my aunt used to say, you got to pay the cost. If you want to be the boss, you got to pay the cost. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. we want things to go our way, we have to put our money where our mouth is. You know, the strategy before was protest, vote, and file lawsuits. The NAACP, they had that strategy. They filed lawsuits against these different colleges to get them to integrate. So now what we're seeing is they're going and they're filing their own lawsuits to upend a lot of these policies that were put into effect because of the lawsuits that were filed. So your take is spot on, Farajii. Now we just have to deal with the money. We got to pay the cost. We are going to have to pull our resources and start funding these institutions so that way they can't say they're relying on their donors. We're your donors too.
That's absolutely. All right, let me get some thoughts from the crew here because folks are posting some great ideas. Brother Willie Frazier, Big Brother Willie, you said this and I love this. And I want to add to it, Big Brother Willie. You say individuals cannot beat institutions, but organizations can bring them to their knees. And what is an organization, Big Brother Willie? An organization is a group of organized individuals.
Yes.
That's all it is. Yes. An organization is a group of organized individuals, people who are coming together for a common goal, for this common purpose. They're coming together and saying, you know, to address whatever the issue or the need is. So you're absolutely right. So if you're talking about, to back to your point, Sister Kimberly, like when you're saying that individual, that's not enough. You can go to Harvard or stand at the gates of Harvard and with just sign and walk around, and some people are like, yeah, you're fighting the system. But your voice would be heard louder. And it would go much further if you had a group of people that organized with you, not just protesting in front of the gates of Harvard, but being, like you said, we already know we do the lawsuit strategy. But what about hitting them in their pockets? What about walkouts? What about organized efforts after school that's going to cause them to rethink how they handle us? That's what I like. I appreciate you, Brother Willie, for saying that. Brother Brian Christian, my man, you said, I agree. We need to put money on the table, but I think we all know that money doesn't really mean more than our character, which they stay attacking. So we should go hit their pockets and their character. You're absolutely right. And here's the thing, Kimberly. Here's the thing. This is something I know we often do. We want to appeal to the moral sensibilities of a joker. I hate to say it like that, but we do. We want to appeal to the moral sensibility. It ain't fair. It ain't right, man. This is America, man. I'm gonna hold this thing before we talk about my sister Fani Willis.
I feel like we need to stop playing defense. We need to go on the offense. We are constantly playing defense, and this was one of the issues I had with one of the schools that I worked for. I was like, why are we always being reactionary? We need to be proactive. Right now, we are constantly reacting to every single thing that is being done. We are not playing offense. And that's what we need to do. We need to be proactive. Why are we not digging dirt and finding out there are people in positions of power who have plagiarized? Why are we just sitting back waiting for us to be attacked? I don't understand that. We have plenty of people in our orbit who are trained journalists, who are detectives, who can get this information. So why are we always playing defense? That's my question.
Oh, you talking about some warfare, Kimberly. You can't work. Oh, boy, you ready to bring that smoke today. You already talking. You say, why we don't have our people digging up the dirt? Oh, that's funny because we know how to dig some dirt. We know how to dig some dirt. We know how to dig some dirt, right? But I think it's because this shows you the good-hearted nature of our people, right? Like we can have a lot of unjust things done to us, but very few of us is willing to kind of go down in the dirt to do the same back in return to something. Now, if it's our own people, unfortunately, we're quicker to do that against our own people. But when it's other folks outside of the community, Because I think psychologically, I'm gonna just say it like this: psychologically, we're still afraid from our experience in slavery and how that trait, that fear was just passed down from generation to generation. So the idea of going up against certain powers, the idea of speaking truth to power. I mean, if you think about it, some of us are really, really afraid that we don't even want to say a word about those in power. And it's not just about white people. I'm talking about those in power, whether it's black, white, those in power who you know are unjust, who you know are unfair, but we're afraid in some way, right? And I think we're breaking out of that. I truly believe that in 2024, we're breaking out of that. But I think fear has always been rooted. That's always been ingrained in us since we were babies.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's what the fear is. I think it's more of we want to be seen as the good guys. We don't want to be seen as stereotypical. We're the bad guy. You know, oh, you see, they're evil or they're bad. So I think we constantly try to place ourselves on that particular, I don't want to say pedestal, but we try to stay above the fray because we don't want to be perceived as being the bad guy or being the villain. Even though, in my humble opinion, and you all could agree or disagree, I don't think that's being the bad guy. I just think that's standing up for yourself, and that's showing that we are not the ones to be played with. That's the way I look at it. Don't play with me. I used to always say, look, if you don't want it, don't bring it to me. I will leave you alone. You leave me alone. But if you start with me, we'll do this.
They have been, and
I said that to my bosses. Like, don't come for me. Don't do that.
Don't come for me unless I send for you. I got you.
There you go. There you go. So I feel like they're constantly coming for us right now. So we need to be proactive, not react.
No, I agree. But I think part of that is, and when we're looking at the situation, right? Like this is a much bigger conversation, but I think part of that is we've seen instances where the moments we kind of got angry, then culturally, whether it's from ourselves or whether it's from white people or other people, culturally, it's frowned upon. The angry black man, the angry black woman, right? I'll never forget when all of these killings started off with Trayvon Martin, and President Barack Obama was in office, obviously, and he had a press conference, and you know, it was a big moment for the movement to have a president to speak on this. And you can clearly tell he was visibly angry. And as restrained, as controlled, as focused as that man is, he kept his composure. And people blasted him the next day in the media. Oh my gosh, an angry president. Oh, he shouldn't have said that. And he said that when the Skip Gates situation, the police act stupidly and all of this, like there is such consequences for us to have natural emotions of anger against injustice. So after a while, I think that once that's been conditioned into our thinking time and time again, we don't even want to go through that. Now, we know we're angry, but because of the cultural and social pressure, we keep that anger inside. And guess where that anger comes out at? On each other. We're angry at the system.
Or on ourselves.
Or on ourselves, right? We angry at the system. We angry at it because of the lack of justice. We angry. I mean, we have very justifiable, valid reasons to be angry in this country. And we are always told, don't be angry. And that goes against the very nature of our emotional makeup. And at the end of the day, what happens? We just lash out on ourselves, on each other, and it becomes a completely destructive, unhealthy way to handle a situation. So I think that that's part of the problem. And to your point, so I think we're looking at so many different dynamics here that we got to understand that, right? And it's a hell of a place for you to be in as a black man, as a black woman. You got to grow up. And the number one message of growing up black in America is don't get angry. Regardless of what's done to you, do not get angry. Do not speak out against the pain or the harm or the injustice done to you. And it's crazy. Now I think we're breaking out of it. I think we're breaking out of it. And I think we need to give people the space, especially black folks. We need to give each other the space to be angry. When I hear other black people tell black people not to get angry about stuff that you need to get angry about, I get even more angrier.
Farajii, I think you're right. But I think we're not just breaking out of it. We've broken out of it at different points in history. During the 1960s with the Black Power movement, we broke out of it. So we've had different times where we've broken out of it. So I just wanted to give credit to those brothers and sisters because they broke out of it then.
Absolutely, absolutely. Kim Silver, you said it's not a perception. There are some lines that once crossed put you in the same cesspool as the oppressor. If you operate like them, you become them, in my humble opinion. I understand. I definitely understand. But there are some moments where you need that anger, though, Kim. And I think you understand that. I think we're saying the same thing. But there are some moments, right? Yes, you don't want to be like those who have oppressed you. You don't want to be like those who have done wrong to you. But it's okay if you feel angry about it and you want to do something in response to quell the anger within. So it's okay, but I definitely hear you. Look, we got to be able to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get off of Harvard's campus. Let's go down to Atlanta now. On the other side, don't be laughing at me, Kim. Don't be laughing at me. We're going to be joined by my sister Corinna Denise. I got my sister Kimberly Morrow. Let's talk about your reactions to day one of the hearings of the district attorney, Fani Willis, down in Atlanta. I wanted to hear from you, and I'm going to offer you my take on it as well. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. If you missed the first half of the show, trust and believe you want to be a part of Team Replay, go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com or check us out on Roland Martin's YouTube page or on Roland Martin's Facebook page, and you can definitely see the rebroadcast. But we had a fantastic first half of the show as we checked in with my sister Kimberly Morrow, as we talked about everything from diversity, equity, inclusion to talking about some of the madness that's happening down in the state of Florida. So you can check that out and be a part of the conversation and see where you stand on these issues. But we appreciate you so much for tuning in today. Now, We're also streaming live on Amazon platforms, so you can check us out on Amazon News or your Fire TV. You also can check us out on Amazon Prime Video. Just go to the Prime Video app under Live TV The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video Live TV The News. Or you can check us out on Freevee Network, where you can find us on now under News at Black Star Network. And we're also on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just find us under Live TV, The News and Opinion. And of course, you can go to our home website at blackstarnetwork.com, and you can see all of the latest past shows, preview, and some of the special conversations that we've been having as well. So we appreciate your support. All right, folks, let's get to the big culture convo today, which is what we have seen in the courtroom. What an explosive day has been in the courtroom for the hearing of Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis and prosecutor Mr. Nathan Wade, as they are undergoing a hearing at this moment about whether they should disqualify Ms. Willis from prosecuting the case against former President Donald Trump as it relates to election interference. Now, yesterday we heard the testimony of a former friend of Fani Willis and a former friend and colleague. We also heard the testimony of Mr. Nathan Wade himself and the 2-hour, highly explosive, somewhat combative testimony coming in from Ms. Fani Willis herself. Now, the Judge Scott McAfee, had decided not to. Basically, it was decided that Ms. Willis was not going to be placed back on the stand today for day 2 of the hearing. And so I wanted to get your reactions to what we saw yesterday. There were a whole lot of people on social media that was giving her quotables like she was the latest Cat Williams Monique interview. So it's interesting to see how the culture is having these conversations about what is going on. But joining me today are my sisters, Corinna Denise, who is a college admission advisor, and she was chomping at the bit. I said, Corinna, you want to talk about Fani Willis today? She was like, absolutely. I said, okay.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Corinna. Corinna was like, we're in there, Farajii. Put me in, coach. Put me in. I'm also joined by my sister Kimberly Morrow as well, who is an educator and principal and speaker. All right, let me get your initial reactions. Corinna, since you just joining the conversation, what did you take from day 1 of this hearing? What were your reactions to what Ms. Willis had to say, Mr. Wade had to say, her former friend had to say? What did you take from yesterday's proceedings?
Well, let me preface it with damn. Remember when I said that? I think about a couple weeks ago when we got the breaking news. So yeah, I'm still on damn. And I got some notes because I want to make sure I'm thorough. But wow. I saw Fani Willis actually testify in real time. And it was just like all of a sudden, right? And that was breaking news that she was going to take the stand, and she was ready. And I know that a lot of people might have some opinions on, how she may have said things sometimes, unfortunately, because as Black women especially, we're burdened with that trope of being angry. But there were several times where I could definitely humanize with Fani and then what she was speaking about, because I myself, as a Black woman, have been in those positions, especially with, white men and how they speak down to us. But I think it revealed a lot, right, Farajii? I did mention when this news initially broke, that I really needed to know a timeline of the relationship between Fani Willis and Mr. Wade, which was more detailed. And I think details make a difference. So we have a little bit more knowledge that Mr. Wade was hired around, I believe, November 2021, and their relationship officially began March 2022. There was some discrepancy between Mr. Wade and Fani Willis about when the relationship ended. And even Mr. Wade said, men, we don't really keep track of those kind of things. If I had to gauge it, it was sometime in the summer. And Fani was saying we had a really serious conversation, August 2023. And that's when it looks like it ended. Real quick too, I will say that friend who testified or a former co-worker, I have questions about that. I'm like, did they bribe her? Did they threaten her? How did they get her to testify? And, I didn't really hear anything yet substantive enough to argue the conflict of interest that would prevent Fani Willis from moving forward with this case. But as you can see, those defense attorneys are determined to find something. And now it seems like they're trying to put together these pieces of a puzzle as if they're in this type of money scheme. You know what I mean? To try and to get something out of the case. But it seems like they're kind of failing right now. But we shall see. But as far as Fani, I'm happy to see that she did go ahead and testify. And I also saw a moment where, you know, her intelligence was insulted by one of the attorneys saying, you know, and quote, "I will ask you questions you can actually answer." What the hell? And I love that she said, "Yes, sir, my comprehension skills are pretty good." Okay. And then he responded and said, "Well, we'll soon see." So, you know, I saw a few different things that play in the courtroom. Yes, and you know, we got to deal with this where they're always trying to insult your intelligence. But the last thing I'll say, because I know we got to go to break in a moment. Did you see Mr. John? What's up, his name? Mr. John Floyd III. Okay, and he is an attorney too. He mostly practiced criminal defense, he said, and I could see where Miss Willis gets her sharpness from. She gets it from her daddy, because he wasn't playing no games up there today either. And one of those lawyers got his ass handed back to him when he said to Mr. Floyd, "I'll try to ask you some specific questions if we could, okay?" And daddy immediately responded, "And I'll give specific answers if I can." Okay, so they try us with our intelligence. So I saw a few things at play, Farajii, but I think overall they're reaching, right? They're reaching and can't really find anything. But I think at the end of the day, the bigger picture is we have to recognize, regardless of the decisions that Fani made, okay, I'm not negating that, but what we have to recognize is there would have been something. They would have come up with something. And I believe from day one that she got this case, they were searching for stuff to kind of pin stuff on her to demean her character, but it still has nothing to do with what's happening with Donald Trump. And I think we need to stay focused on the big picture and really pay attention to what's happening in that courtroom. And that judge, you know, he's only been on the bench 6 months. He seems to be a mild-mannered. I was reading today in another article, forgive me, I don't remember to cite it right now, but that at one point in time, he briefly worked under Fani Willis.
Yeah.
So that's also a very interesting dynamic. But yeah, I thought Fani did the damn thing yesterday. And I know some people were like, "Oh, she didn't have to say all those things like, oh, you know, don't get cute with me." But we saw some black woman magic happening yesterday, in my view. But you know.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick pause when we come forward.
Yeah, no.
I got the hazmat seat ready.
I hope so.
When we come forward, we're gonna hear from Kimberly. I want to hear from you, and y'all will hear a little bit of what I have to say, what I've seen yesterday, and my concern moving forward. Stay with us. The conversation will continue on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And This is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. I'm joined by my sisters and contributors, my sister Kimberly Morrow, Corinna Denise, as we're talking about day 2 of reactions from day one of the hearing for the possible disqualification of Fani Willis from the Trump case. And we heard what Corinna had to say. Kimberly, what's your reaction? What did you see yesterday?
Well, what I saw was the defense putting on a fishing expedition. They have nothing. So that whole thing, what they were doing, they were fishing for information. They have not met their burden of proof. They have not proved any conflict of interest. They just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. And they really are putting that woman, the Black woman, in a position where they're trying to humiliate her, bringing up her personal stuff. Now, what I did like was what Fani said about what her daddy taught her. Because a lot of times on social media, I've seen a lot of different posts where guys will say, well, you women, you just, think you can do everything on your own. And it's because your mothers and grandmothers have taught you that way. And I've stayed silent, but that's not true. Many of us, our fathers taught us that. So when she said her father taught her to keep money in her house, my father taught me that too. My father is 83 years old. He taught me the same thing. Her father taught her, you always have money when you go on a date so you can pay for it. My father taught me that too. My father still to this day tells me, you don't need to have anybody take care of you. You can take care of yourself. My father teaches me that. So I loved when she said her daddy is the only man who's paid everything for her. I feel the same way, Fani. That's why I wore my Howard University shirt, because I'm standing with Fani, because our fathers taught us this, not our mothers, like people try to make it seem like our single mothers who didn't have a man taught us that. My mother was married to my father, and my father taught me this. That's what I have to say, Farajii.
Okay. Okay.
Can I just add something real quick? I won't take long. I just want to say too, they were really disparaging that too in the courtroom, right? Making it seem like it was so unusual and odd that you keep cash at home. And she was saying, look, like basically my money goes where I go, wherever I lay my head. Like, what don't you comprehend about that? Like everyone got some money stashed under the mattress somewhere, or got, cash on hand. Like my mom is always telling me, you need to have some dollars, some cash on you just in case of an emergency or anything. So it wasn't unusual to me at all. And yes, Kimberly, I did see some of the things on social media too, but they were really trying to, and they're still trying to egg at it even today, about having cash on hand and paying for things in cash. But if you're making like 6 figures, like, yeah, I would expect someone to probably have a substantial amount of cash stashed away at home somewhere. But yeah, I just want to add.
All right, but here's the thing though, ladies. This case ain't about handling cash and where you place it. This case is about Fani putting herself in a position by bringing on her lover and how that created this whole situation. Now,
wait, it's a hearing though. I think we got to be clear about that.
It's a hearing. It's not a trial. You're right. It's a hearing, right? So this case is about holding her responsible and accountable for that one decision. Because yes, I'm not questioning and I'm not doubting how brilliant she is. I'm not doubting how much she knows, how rooted she is. But that one decision to bring on someone that she loved, that she was dealing with on an intimate level, to bring them on to a situation like this, a case like this. And that right there is the lapse of judgment. That's what this case is about.
Farajii, I'm gonna push back on that because that hasn't been proven. That hasn't been proven that she brought on her lover. That witness that said that, wait. That witness that testified from the DEA's office, her testimony was impeached because they said that she was basically a bitter employee who testified against her because, you know, she was forced to resign. So still, we don't.
No, but so it has not proven that she had a relationship with this man?
No, it hasn't been proven that she brought on her lover. That's what you just said. What she
that's
did
what I
was
said. That's what I'm saying. This case is about. That's what they're trying to prove. That's what the point I'm saying. That's the point I'm making. The point.
Yeah, but the case is supposed to be about a conflict of interest, which the
that's
defense
what I'm
has
saying.
not proven that it's been a conflict of interest. They haven't provided any evidence.
But and to your point, Kimberly, that's the point that I'm making. That's what this case is about. This case is not about the other stuff. It's about the conflict of interest policy, right? It's about the fact that she did not inform her higher ups, whether it's the state or whoever, people in her DA, in her office, of this relationship that could serve as a possible risk to this case.
I think it's also important to mention quickly too. She did mention that she didn't even want to, no way put down Mr. Wade, but he actually wasn't even her first choice. Now, I'm not saying, again, let me be very clear before y'all come at me. I'm just relaying the information, is that this is what she said on the stand yesterday, that Mr. Wade was not even her first choice for the position that he's in now.
But so what changed? What influenced her to bring him on?
No, I'll tell you what changed, because that gentleman took the stand today. The person that she wanted to bring on refused the position because he said that his life had already been upset by getting death threats. He already had to have security. That man, it was an older white gentleman. That was her first choice. She wanted him to take on that position. But we talked about that before. A lot of people are like, oh, she brought on her lover. No, she brought Wade on. I'm not going to say he was her lover at the time. She brought him on because other people had turned down the position. People don't want to do that job. They don't want to get the death threats. So that's
so here's the thing. So again, this opens up the door, right? Here's the thing. The thing is, and I've been kind of seeing this over the past 24 hours, like how people have responded. And, we had a conversation yesterday about workplace romance and all of those things. But this is the thing. The thing is, you're putting the case at risk. You're putting your credibility at risk when you make a decision like that, right? Knowing the relationship, right? Now, we're still trying to figure out, when did the relationship start? We may never get that answer, to be honest, right? You had the ex-best friend, ex-friend who said that one time, her father is saying another time, Mr. Wade, Miss Willis is saying another time. So we may never really truly know how that with the whole timeline is. We can speculate, and we got little pieces of evidence here and there, but these are conversations. But when you heard her and Mr. Wade describe how they see each other now, she just kept saying, he is such a great friend. He is such a great friend. And he, he's so supportive. And Mr. Wade said it on himself. He said this on the stand. He said, we were together, but we didn't have, sexual or intimacy for a long time. And we kind of like,
and that was a stretch too for them to even bring that up in the courtroom.
But he also said, because we have been undergoing these attacks, we have been getting closer more now than we've ever been.
Okay.
So all that being said, what is the conflict of interest?
So the conflict. But here's the conflict of interest is, and this is the state money situation. And people say, well, why are we talking about her personal business? We wouldn't be even in this whole conversation if she said, okay, hey Nathan, you know what? We got feelings for one another.
You are right, Farajii, but at the end of the day, too, that defense, they also did a lot of lies. She had to correct them yesterday. Wait. When the attorney accused Fani of actually having intercourse with Mr. Ray on the first day that they met.
It doesn't matter what. Look, first thing, and see, this is the thing.
If you're going to tell it, you have to tell it correctly.
No. But here's the thing. Listen to this. Just y'all check this out. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. Like they used to use a term back in the 90s called, this is embarrassing because I don't want to see my sister up there trying to defend when she had sex with a man and what was the nature of the conversation. This is embarrassing.
But we also have to recognize that this is a pattern. You know what? Wait, let me say that more succinctly. This is a pattern of attacks on Black people in this. Of an attack.
And guess what? If we knew, check this out, Corinna, Kimberly, you know it's a pattern. I know it's a pattern. She knows it's a pattern. He knows it's a pattern. My only thinking is, bruh, this could have been completely avoided. This really could have, and I don't want the theatrics of what she learned from her dad and all of those things. That's all well and good, but I think that gets into the way.
The theatrics are happening because of the questions they're posing when they're going around and around.
Why are we even? Listen. Let me put it in this context, and I know we got to take a quick pause. They went this far. They're actually having a whole hearing to disqualify this woman from this case based off of an allegation that has no substance. So if that goes to show you how far they're willing to go to attack you, then that must mean that for us, then we have no chances. They simply went on an allegation. They didn't ask that man, Michael Roman, for no real substantial evidence. They just went on an allegation, went down that rabbit hole, and we're in this position today, right?
Farajii, I think you're right about that. But at the end of the day, we have to realize too, okay, yes, Fani made a dumb decision, right? But whether or not it was this decision, we still would have been here somehow discussing something else in some other context. Yes, we would have, and we cannot negate that.
And I'm telling you, that is the truth. Because when they're coming to ask you, when they're coming for you, I think Corinna's speaking from experience. I'm speaking from experience.
Right.
They are going to find something when they're coming for you. And it's almost as though you have to be perfect, and the little thing that they find could be something that's so innocuous.
But this ain't, I don't know if this is little. Is this little?
It's not little, but what
I'm not saying this is little. But if it wasn't this, it was going to be something. This is like the biggest thing.
Yes.
They were going to come after this.
But look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know we gotta take a pause. I would rather for it to be something else. Again, I don't want to know about the intimate details of the relationship between no man and no woman, between text messages and when did y'all become intimate and all of that. Like, this is a high-tech lynching, right? And I get that. And people might say it's not fair. This is America. This is America. We got to see the things the way they are, not how we wish them to be. This is America. This is what America will do. We all know this. I'm talking about the three of us. We know this. Folks in the chat know this. America knows this. When Black people, we are held to a different standard. And that's just what, why do we keep telling ourselves, man, this ain't right, this ain't right? Hell no, it ain't right. But this is America. This is America. And I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I feel bad for the sister. I really feel bad for the sister. But I'm like, damn, sis. You put yourself in this
position. Feel bad
position.
and support her, or feel bad and tear her down?
No, I'm not gonna. Is it tearing down or just a simply acknowledging?
No,
this ain't tearing it down.
I'm not saying. I'm just raising the point. Are we gonna feel bad and lift her up, support her right now? Because I think we need to support her right now.
No, we don't. We you know how we lift her up? We have conversations about making sure that you cross your T's and you dot your I's. Because the problem my concern, and very quickly, the concern that I really do have about this is that the messaging will be, it's okay to do this. It's one thing, nobody cares about who you sleep with, but you got to understand that you got to work within an ethical framework, that you are being held to a different standard. And that, guess what? Every little thing that you do, especially when you're going against certain powers in this country, will be scrutinized. I think that's where the conversation, I don't care about, again, this is part of this a little bit theatrical to me. But at the end of the day, what do we say? What do you tell your daughters who look into, what do you tell them after seeing as a teenage Black girl, she's looking at this situation, she's like, damn, all that was a man? What do you tell her? What do you tell her?
So when we come back from break, Farajii, I'm gonna tell you what we tell her.
All right, take a quick pause. When we come back, here we'll have a conversation. I'm also gonna bring in another sister. We're gonna have to talk about it. Stay with us. It's the culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money make this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. I got my hazmat suit. I got my sisters who's bringing me the smoke. Corinna Denise, Kimberly Morrow.
I think you need a spacesuit at this point.
Oh, you tell me that. Don't get out of here, sir. Let me share what people are saying as we have this conversation. And, we do have another guest that's scheduled to come onto the show. Just happens to be the timing of it. But let me just say this. Crystal Coleman, you said, Corinna, yes, lift her up. It would not matter that she crossed and dotted. It still would have happened about something. Look at what we are talking about instead of what happened with vote results. Now, look, check this out. Check this out. I'm not disagreeing with you on this one, Crystal. But I would rather talk about my stance rather than talking about what I'm doing in the bedroom.
Well,
I would rather that be the conversation. Okay. If you scrutinize me because of what I stand on, if I'm standing on business and you scrutinize me about my thoughts, my politics, and all of that, that's one thing. You scrutinizing me on what I do in the bedroom with who and what. This sound like that's a different. You see what I'm saying? You got people who are looking at this, and their view of Black women is becoming more and more crazy. The conversation, I can't even engage with the conversation on social media around it. They had hip hop artist Plies talking about, man, she looked like she got some good. Like, damn, bro, she's fighting for her life on the stand. She fighting one of the biggest cases against a criminal. And you worrying about how good her good is.
And
like,
that's why
I'm saying. This is
but that's why, Farajii, not to interrupt you, we're pushing to bring to the forefront in spite of everything that has transpired. We have to understand the bigger game at play here. And if it was not this, yes, Fani and Mr. Wade made it a little bit easier for them to get something. But listen, make no mistake. From day one that she got this case, they were like, all right, what can we find on her?
And guess what? If she wouldn't have, look, I'm sorry to say it. I'm so sorry to say this. But if she would not have, they probably wouldn't have been able to say nothing. And we talk about this, Kimberly. We talk about Barack Obama and how 8 years, they really couldn't find no salacious details about his personal life. They destroyed him on his politics. That's fine. That's expected.
Yeah, but we saw them try. That's what I'm saying. It's still.
Yeah. My point is, here's my point. Here's my point. They are always going to try, but at some point we can't give them the ammo. We can't give them the platter with our asses on the platter and say, okay, try this. Yeah, you need something. You see what I'm saying? Like, we gotta understand it. I'm gonna let Kimberly speak, and we gotta take a. You gotta bring it in.
Thanks, Farajii. Yes, so the question before we went to break was, what are we telling our daughters? What are we telling our young women? So this is why I think Corinna and I are both speaking the way we're speaking, because here's what we tell our young women, what I was told, I know what Corinna was told, what we continue to tell our young women. You have to be better. You have to work twice as hard to get half as much. We know that. We hear that. You have to always dot your I's, cross your T's. You have to do this job twice as better than anybody else is going to do it. You have to do that. That's a lot of pressure. But we also, this is the message I want to give young women, that if you slip up, if you make a mistake, we are still going to support you. We are going to have your back. We are going to make sure that the truth comes out. So this whole thing, this is why I think Corinna is doing this, and this is why I'm doing this. I'm pushing back on this whole thing that they're doing, because they're not providing any substantive information about this conflict of interest. And I am making sure that I constantly say that. Look, they're lying.
Kimberly,
I don't want to get in the weeds about what she did wrong. She knows she did something wrong. And trust me.
No, wait. Hold on.
Her girls are checking her on this.
Hey, check this out. Check this out. The culture of those of us who are watching this, how many of us actually believe that she did something wrong?
Well, we've said that, first of all, the fact that she had a relationship with a colleague while they're working on a case,
as a superior,
that's crossing a line. I don't think that that's crossing a line.
Now, look, I don't have no problem. I don't have no problem supporting her. I don't have no problem supporting her because I'm not saying that she should.
I just need you to make that clear, though. Now, bro.
I don't have no. It's not no problem supporting her, but we have to be very, very careful about what we're supporting, because in this day and age, in social media culture, in the culture that we're currently a part of, it can get murky, right? It can get very murky that we're supporting her, but then at the same time, is the message of personal accountability being emphasized? Taking responsibility being emphasized. Wait a minute, hold on. Or is the message of making sure that you understand that there is a double standard? Is that being emphasized? And I know a couple of our crew members, they say, Farajii, we can't keep walking on eggshells. Look, let me tell y'all something. I'd agree with you. I don't think we could. But if you're in a position that Fani Willis is in, look, here's all this. Scratch all of this. If the sister gets disqualified from the case, then what we gonna say? Oh, it's the system? Oh, it's Trump? Oh, the white man? What do we say if she gets disqualified from this case? Who's responsible for that?
For the case.
Who's responsible for that, though?
But what we're saying right now, according to in day 2, what substantive argument are they making to show?
They don't need to make a substantial argument. They don't need to make. Listen, Loretta, no, they don't. They don't need. Here's why. They don't need to make a substantial argument because they just want to destroy her credibility. So
right, and you're making my point, Farajii.
That's what I'm saying. I already agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I'm not taking that apart away. I'm just making a point that in the big scheme of things, this is sad. They're destroying her credibility, but part of it is because she made a decision that allowed them to destroy her credibility. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm saying. It's sad. It really hurts me.
We're not arguing. We're not arguing that piece. We're not arguing that piece. I think the disconnect is we don't want to highlight that piece. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that shouldn't be the major part of the discussion. Yes, we know she made a decision that many of us say we would not have made. That is what has gotten us here. But now that is a fact. But we also know that the other side is looking for dirt on her. Now we have to put the spotlight on where it goes, that they have no case. That's the message we need to be singing to the hills. They have no case.
And guess what? And guess what? Even check this. Here's the thing, very quickly, and I know we got to take a quick pause because I want to bring my sister in. Even though we already know that it's flimsy, like I said, they've gone this far off of a simple allegation. Michael Roman, who brought up this complaint, he didn't provide no real substantive evidence. And look at what we're looking at a televised hearing of a Black woman who's fighting for her political and legal life off of an allegation.
And why aren't we destroying him on that?
Right.
Why are we having
because at this point, because in this particular moment, she's the one that's the spotlight is on. What are we come on.
We're always on defense. We need to be on offense. Why aren't we putting the spotlight?
How much? First thing. Hold on. Ladies. So hold on very quickly. How much more do we need to talk about Trump and his associates on this platform or any other space that we don't already know? We talk about Trump every day.
On this particular issue, we need to talk about the fact that Mike Roman, this is what he does. He is insidious, but we're not talking about that. We're spending a lot of time talking about, well, Fani shouldn't have did that. He shouldn't have hired him. We need to be talking about him.
Because we will look real crazy having a conversation about a situation that has no real bearing on the current moment. Like we
We're
can't,
not saying not to talk
we
about
gotta look at.
Farajii, but we're also saying
Fani
we got
is
to
on trial. Is on.
everyone involved.
All right.
You know,
all right.
you mentioned you don't want to hear about her bedroom business, but okay, let's talk about who's bringing up her bedroom business. Because as far as who she had, if they had sex or not, that don't have anything to do with the conflict of interest. Okay, they're not proving the case.
We're gonna purge. I gotta table this. I hear y'all. I hear y'all. I need to drink
but
of
how
water.
do it free us?
I need to drink of water.
Okay? How do it free us to keep bragging on Fani? Like,
All right.
Bonnie said yesterday she's not on trial. She said, I'm not on trial, although you keep trying to act like I am.
Check this out. Check this out. I heard that part. And guess what? She is on trial. In the court of public opinion, that woman is on trial right now. Her credibility is going to be shot. Whether she gets disqualified or not, that woman is on the trial of her life.
And that's what
that woman is on in the court of public opinion. She's on the trial of her life.
We need to change the narrative. We need to change the narrative right here.
That's right.
All right, look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let me bring my other guest on who's been waiting very patiently. We're going to be checking in with Caroline Brewer. She talks about social justice, and maybe she wants to share her thoughts on this. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Check this out. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs. Billions for campus improvements, grants, and debt relief. Billions more for HBCUs. Endless possibilities for us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, y'all. Welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Look, I love my sisters, man, and I appreciate them, and I thank them so much for their fire and their passion, because I'm going to be honest with y'all. We need to have the conversation. So I'm joined by my sisters, Corinna Denise, my sister, Kimberly Morrow. I want to apologize to our special guest, Caroline Brewer, who's been waiting patiently. She's like, what did I just walk into? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Corinna. You on mute. Let's bring my sister Caroline Brewer. Caroline, she is an author, and she has written a book called Save Their Names, and she's also an educator and activist that she's looking to do her part to teach children about social justice. What a day to be on the show here, Caroline. So I sincerely apologize for the wait, but let's talk about the work that you're doing. And if you want to share your thoughts, not putting you on the spot, but this is a very important time for Black folks, and an important time for even us to have conversations about social justice. Talk to us about your new book, Save Their Names, the inspiring new book that you're putting out. It's inspired by George Floyd protests, and it's a first of its kind in the aftermath, featuring a child's perspective. What was talk to us a little bit about this work and how you got to this place, and why it's important for us to teach our children about social justice.
Thank you so much for having me, Farajii. I want to
You're
say
welcome.
I invited Adrian Brandon, and I hope we can bring him on. He is the illustrator of Say Their Names. He's an artist living in Brooklyn, and he did some very special work around the Black Lives Matter movement. He created a series called the Stolen Series. We also have Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, who I believe you know, and he
Yes.
agreed to be on. He's been a big supporter of this book. He and I have worked together on environmental justice issues, which are, of course, social justice issues. So I hope we can bring them into the conversation. They've been waiting along with me
I
to
appreciate that.
have a moment on the show. So Say Their Names is a book about 7-year-old Aaliyah's journey to create a movement around love in the aftermath of George Floyd's death and murder and the protest. And it came to me after I visited Black Lives Matter Plaza here in Washington, D.C. And I thought about how children are processing these tragic experiences that too many Americans and overwhelmingly African Americans and Native Americans are having when it comes to police activity and also to racial actors. And so I wanted to write something for children in the voice of a child, through the eyes of a child, with the hope and imagination of a child. And what's been beautiful is that this book has been speaking to people of all ages. I call it a community book, not a children's book. And I want to say a year ago, I came across a speech from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that I had not been aware of. And he spoke to middle school, junior high school students in Philadelphia. And what he said to them is that they should make that they should have in their life's blueprint a deep belief in their own dignity, their own worth, and their own somebodyness. He said, don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. And I know that that's what this book is doing for our young people. It's creating a sense of a positive identity. It's creating a sense of strength and agency. I get letters from children, letters from parents, letters from teachers telling me that children come away from reading this book feeling transformed, feeling more powerful, certainly more empathetic. And that's what we need in order to tackle all of these big challenges that we have as a people and as a society.
Let me ask you this, Sister Caroline. When we're talking about teaching children about social justice, what age range are you talking about here? And how do we make sure that we as the adults, those who are responsible for the teaching, provide the teaching in such a way where it doesn't put so much on the small brains or on the minds of a child where they kind of, they lose their innocence? Because I know that there's that tendency, especially in our community, in our culture, that we want to adultify our children on the struggle, on the movement very, very quickly, and not give that child a chance to enjoy their childhood just as much as they have a chance for them to understand and grow and learn their history. So how do we balance that out?
So what we're doing every day is we're living life, and so are the children. 20 years ago, I wrote a book in response to 9/11. And when I went into kindergarten and first grade classes, the teachers told me that the children had been drawing pictures of the planes hitting the towers. So in this case, it was not a matter of trying to adultify children. It was a matter of empowering children, of understanding, being empathetic, that they are experiencing these issues the same way that we are. And so I wrote a guide called the Say Their Names Imagination Guide that helps parents, teachers, community members talk to children at various age levels about what it means to say their names. We have children who are living in neighborhoods where police shootings are happening. We have children who are losing classmates, very young children. The youngest child named in the book is Ayanna Stanley Jones, who was killed when police broke into her mother's home looking for a brother or a cousin, and it was midnight and they fired into the home and she was sleeping on the sofa with her aunt, and they had this was in Detroit, and they had thrown some smoke bombs into the house before. It caught the sofa on fire. It caught Ayanna on fire. And so here we have this 7-year-old child who is now dead because once they came in, they started shooting. So it's happening in our children's lives, and we do them a great disservice if we don't respect the fact that they are trying to process these traumatic experiences and provide materials like this book and other books that have been published that open up the conversation in a way that they can understand. It's done very sensitively, and it can be done with any issue.
And how old would you say we start having these conversations, Sister Caroline?
I would say we start having the conversations when we recognize something is happening and the children are already responding. So it's interesting. There's an 18-month-old in my life, and she came to a book reading, and this book is on her bookshelf, and she loves to sit and listen to it. So we're not having conversations necessarily about what's going on in the book. The book does not mention murder. It doesn't mention killing, but it does. Aaliyah helps us understand that some things have happened that have caused us pain. This book really is a journey through the process of healing and finding hope and strength and determination in the midst of this particular tragedy, but in the midst of any tragedy in life. We think about what's happening all over the world where children are living through war. Somebody needs to help them process that. And my work with children over the last 20 years has been about supporting children in the healing process and giving adults the tools to help children, because tragedy is happening every day. We've got climate change happening where people are losing their homes, and we have, as I said, wars. We've got shootings. Children are living with the fact that when they go to school, they have to prepare for an active shooter. So I don't think there's any age that's too young to start talking to children about some of the things that they might encounter in the world and how to help them face those challenges with love and compassion and strength and the support of friends and family and community.
Absolutely. I want to get the illustrator on just for a moment. Brother Adrian, would love to get your take, man. Peace and blessings, Brother Adrian. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. And I got my brother Mustafa, as well, that's joining us. And I know it's been a crazy day. And Brother Mustafa, you know how it is at Black Star Network when them big stories come down. The conversation gets big. But Brother Adrian, I want to get your take on this. What were some of your thoughts as you came across the story? Sister Caroline said, "Look, here's my story. Can you illustrate it?" What was the guiding? What was your guide, or how did you envision seeing this story in pictures? Oh, we got you on mute. Go ahead, big brother.
Yeah. No, I think it was a really cool opportunity. I think exactly what you guys were saying, of giving kids the tools and the ability to feel empowered and to feel what they feel, because they're absorbing everything all around us, just like we're absorbing it too. And so finding entryways to have these conversations is incredibly important. And so when I was presented with this story, I just thought it was a really cool opportunity to find a way to make it a little bit more digestible, find a way to bring these really tough conversations into the homes and hopefully create some dialogue, because I think that's obviously where it all starts. And just really focusing the perspective on the kids is so crucial, because we have these conversations with our peers all the time, but we forget sometimes that, these kids are going to be the next ones up. And so finding that balance of giving them responsibility to have these moments in these conversations, but also not burdening them too much early on, so they can still obviously be kids in today's climate.
Absolutely. Brother Mustafa, I want to get your take on this, because this is a very important issue, social justice, and then the work that you're doing, especially around climate care. and more importantly, having these conversations within spaces in our community where, unfortunately, some of our people don't deem them to be important enough to even discuss. So how do you approach having these discussions as well, especially with the next generation, with the babies?
Well, first of all, we bring them back to history. You know, when I think about this particular book, which is over my shoulder, I'm reminded of the words of James Baldwin when he said that if I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see. It is an opportunity for us to help our young people to understand, how do I move from surviving to thriving? How do I show up in this space? How is it relevant to my life? And we begin there by helping folks to understand how these issues impact us on an everyday level, and not being from a victimhood stance, but understanding that we have power in this moment, and help young people to understand that you don't have to wait until you're an elder to actually have power, to have influence, to have the ability.
I love that. I love that, brother. I think that is absolutely the truth. Sister Caroline, we got a moment left. How can people pick up a copy of the book? Because the crew here, all the folks in the chat are just really excited about the work that you and Brother Adrian, Brother Mustafa are doing around this issue. So how can folks support?
Thank you so much. And I can't thank these brothers enough for being on with me. They are the strength of our community. The book is available at any bookstore anywhere in the country. You can order it from any bookstore in the country. I want to thank Raycraft Books, which is my publisher, and they are the folks that brought Adrian and me together to create this book. This is the first time Adrian and I have been together in a space like this. So I'm so grateful for his work and for his time. So any bookstore, I live in DC, so there's Mahogany Books and Sankofa and Politics and Prose. All the local bookstores have the books, but bookstores across the country can order the books if they don't have it in the actual bookstore. So
and folks, y'all can go to her website, CarolineBrewerBooks.com, CarolineBrewerBooks.com. And you can order the books as well and see all the great work that she's doing. I mean, it's a beautiful site. A lot has been is on here, and great for a lot of parents, especially for all our parents, aunties and uncles and grandparents. They need a resource, and this looks like this will be a great website for that. So Sister Carolyn, Brother Adrian, Brother Mustafa, I appreciate each and every one of you for doing the work that you do. Again, we apologize about the shortness of time, but we would certainly love to bring you back to have further conversations about this, because I think it's too important, especially now, especially during this presidential year, especially during a year of attacks on DEI and so many other things that our people are undergoing, that we need to prepare the next generation for to be a part of the movement for Black liberation. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being so good for the culture.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Let me bring my sisters back. We got my sister Corinna, my sister Kimberly, man, oh man. As we close out the show here, can we bring them back in? There we go. There we go. Kimberly and Corinna. They still ain't calm. They ain't calmed down. They still fired up and ready to go. Hey, look, very quick. We got like 30 seconds. Any thoughts on it? Because day 2 is already happening. I saw some stuff about the dad was on the stand. Corinna, what should we keep in mind for day 2 of this whole situation, and the looming judgment that may come down from this case?
Again, and I just can't say it enough, we have to make sure we see the bigger picture of how they're going to try and finagle this and make it work in the Tangerine Tyrant's favor. Okay, because ultimately what they want to do is derail that case. Now, God forbid she loses this case, it could be reassigned. I'm not sure about the particulars, or, it could be thrown out altogether. And that's the last thing we need. So I think it happened, and we got to look how to move forward now. We need to support our sister and uplift her. And I would definitely encourage you to watch the trial, or at least see the playback, the pertinent parts, to see how this goes. And it's just a reflection on the pattern, as I mentioned earlier, of the attack on Black people in this country right now. And like I always say, I sound extreme, but they have been extreme. So let's support our good sis in spite of it all. And we need to keep our eye on the bigger picture.
That's right, because when they go low, right, Kimberly? When they go low, we hit the flow.
Yeah, no, sometimes you got to meet them at their level and be like, "Blah!" Like, you know.
When they go low, we hit the flow. All right, Kimberly, what's your final take on this going into day 2 of this whole situation?
Basically, I'm going to reiterate what Sister Corinna said. Make sure you're watching it and make sure you're really paying attention to the nuances. And when I say watching it, not just the sound bites. Like you actually have to sit there and listen and truly listen to what questions they're asking. They're not asking questions that have anything to do with the threshold for the conflict of interest that they must meet to prove that it was a conflict of interest. The money that they're talking about is too low. It's not even, it doesn't make the threshold. And you really have to listen to the questions that are being asked. And the judge has said a few times, like, that is irrelevant. That's been asked and answered. Like, really pay attention to what the defense is asking the witnesses on the stand. So that is going to be my last piece of advice to those who are listening.
There it is. Kimberly Morrow, Corinna, Denise, thank you so much. And you know what? We'll see how everything goes. So I appreciate y'all, sisters. Thank y'all so much for being on the show. And of course, being so good for the culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right, folks. Look, I got to get out of here. Join us on, check us out on Rolling Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. If you haven't seen the whole show today, you can just be a part of Team Replay and always follow us online at Black Star Network. Follow me at The Real Farajii on Instagram. I would love to connect with you. And always remember this, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. Have a fantastic weekend. Let's continue to hold each other up. And God willing, we'll see each other on Monday or next week for another exciting edition of The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Peace.